Before starting the video, I wanna say that, thank you for 100 subscribers. This really motivated me to make more videos. We have achieved our first goal, still a long way to go. Thank you again. Now let's move towards the video. Death Note is an anime which has been watched by many anime watchers and non-anime watchers. Death Note is an anime which is recommended by many weebs to the folks who are new to anime community, as it has awesome concept, story and many twists and turns in plot which can amaze anyone. An interesting fact: Death Note was my first anime which was recommended by one of my friend. So now let's look to the anime which you should definitely watch if you love Death Note. Number 1. 1 Outs. If you've ever found yourself outs wondering about what would happen if Light Yagami was a pitcher in a baseball series, instead of attempting to become a god using his notebook of death, then the answer is simple: 1 Outs. It was made by the same studio, Madhouse, and every aspect of the show, ranging from the dull color choice and realistic art style to internalized thought emphasis, highlight this fact. It's impossible for anyone aware of Death Note to watch 1 Outs without thinking Death Note. Both the series itself and the way it was adapted are just too similar. Even the vibe the opening and ending give off just screams dark psychological, as opposed to baseball anime. What you have to understand about 1 Outs is that it isn't a sports anime. Baseball, taken to absurd extremes for entertainment purposes, is just for decoration. What 1 Outs is a psychological warfare series. Every pitch becomes a life or death mental battle. This is because, rather than just winning matches, Towa, the protagonist of 1 Outs, bets everything on not giving up even 1 run. By the end, he has to deal with sabotage from his own team, in addition to the opposing team, due to his Light Yagami-esque genius, resulting in his no-outs contract bonuses costing his team so much money. The series is actually more enjoyable if you don't know anything about baseball and can overlook the baseball rule absurdity. Number 2. The Future Diary. Both of these anime deal with notes that foretell things. On one side, you have a strong male lead who writes the death futures. On the other side, you have a weak male lead who sees his own future predicted and his possible death. Lonely high school student, Yukiteru Amano, spends his days writing a diary on his cell phone, while conversing with his 2 seemingly imaginary friends, Deus Ex Machina, who is the god of time and space, and Murmur, the god's servant. Revealing himself to be an actual entity, Deus grants Yukiteru a random diary, which shows highly descriptive entries based on the future and forces him into a bloody battle royale with 11 other holders of similarly powerful future diaries. With the last person standing designated as the new god of time and space, Yukiteru must find and kill the other 11 in order to survive. He reluctantly teams up with his obsessive stalker Yunogasai, who also possesses such a diary, and she takes it upon herself to ensure his safety. But there's more to the girl than meets the eye, as she might have other plans for her love.
At 6:20 p.m., you're scheduled to die on the 14th floor.
Number 3. Keiji Ultimate Survivor. Keiji Ito is a good-for-nothing loiterer who spends his days drinking beer and stealing hubcaps until he ends up being tricked by his former co-worker. Unable to suddenly repay his friend's huge debt all by himself, Keiji is offered a shady deal to participate in an illegal underground gamble on a cruise ship. This turns out to be nothing more than the beginning of his new life of hell, thrown headlong into a life-threatening roller coaster of mind games, cheating, and deceit. Both anime are very similar to each other. Both heroes plot an ingenious plan to survive. Both keeps you guessing until the end and hunger for the next one. Both has amazing storyline. Keiji is a genius anime without the supernatural stuff from Death Note.
金を欲している以上縛られ続ける。王も暴動が起きる。
Number 4. Monster. Dr. Kenzo Tenma, an elite neurosurgeon recently engaged to his hospital director's daughter, is well on his way to ascending the hospital hierarchy. That is until one night, a seemingly small event changes Dr. Tenma's life forever. While preparing to perform surgery on someone, he gets a call from the hospital director telling him to switch patients and instead perform life-saving brain surgery on a famous performer. His fellow doctors, Fyong, and the hospital director applaud his accomplishment. But because of the switch, a poor, immigrant worker is dead, causing Dr. Tenma to have a crisis of conscience. So when a similar situation arises, Dr. Tenma stands his ground and chooses to perform surgery on the young boy Johann Liebert instead of the town's mayor. Unfortunately, this choice leads to serious ramifications for Dr. Tenma, losing his social standing being one of them. However, with the mysterious death of the director and 2 other doctors, Dr. Tenma's position is restored. With no evidence to convict him, he is released and goes on to attain the position of hospital director. 9 years later, when Dr. Tenma saves the life of a criminal, his past comes back to haunt him once again. He comes face to face with a monster he operated on. He must now embark on a quest of pursuit to make amends for the havoc spread by the one he saved. They both deal with monsters and people. By this, both shows are portraying the good that each person thinks is right.
All that I did was grant you your wish, Doctor.
Number 5. Hell Girl. There is a fine line between revenge and justice. Death Note has Light, also called as Kira, hell-bent on bringing justice and order to a new world by killing the criminals and ruling by fear. Jigoku Shoujo also called her as Hell Girl. She will exact revenge upon your enemy at the price of your soul. At first, right and wrong seems pretty clear-cut for both anime. Bad guys get punished, but as the series progresses, the lines get blurred. The person in the wrong isn't always the one getting killed, is sent to hell. Number 6. Terror in Resonance. It's rare enough for an anime not to pander to otaku with sexual fetishes disguised as female characters. Death Note and Terror in Tokyo have roughly 4 noteworthy female characters between them, much less fan service. I could recommend the 2 based solely on that aspect. Even though Terror is undermined by its 2 plot device female characters. But there are numerous far more concrete similarities, ranging from the tone/direction to the characters and plot that made me automatically link them in my head. Death Note and Terror are mind game series where Jenny uses go head-to-head with one another. A police investigation is started in the wake of vigilante acts of terrorism/murder, with a task force formed, and an extremely intelligent detective appears to duel with his new nemesis/nemesis in the public domain. From there it becomes a game of cat and mouse, with the respective leads leaving clues for the police whilst also covering their tracks perfectly. Also, it in both series genius can learn are cultivated at orphanages and, I assume, are ranked according to their intelligence. In Terror the leads even refer to themselves and other children from their orphanage by their numbers, rather than names. In Death Note each genius child had a false name starting with a different letter from the alphabet, rather than numbers to distinguish themselves. But, regardless, Terror follows Death Note in terms of the mind games, involving more than just the initial characters. Number 7. Death Parade. As soon as I saw Death Parade, I couldn't help but associate it with Death Note. Both series revolve around death, and even though themes plots are different in a sense, the atmosphere is quite similar. An ideal watch for those who enjoyed either of the series, and if you are new to anime and only just finishing Death Note and are looking for more, Death Parade is your next best bet. Thank you for watching, and don't forget to comment below which anime you gonna watch from these 7.